School webinar. The focus of this webinar is to help schools update their vision statement with input from their School Counseling Advisory Council. My name is Sue Reynolds. I'm the Executive Director of the American Student Achievement Institute, and with me today is Chris Avona, who is our Administrative Assistant at ASA. So we're joined today by a group of Indiana schools who are using the RSC process to renew their Ask a Ramp Award and their Indiana Gold Star School Counseling Award. And we like to keep our webinars pretty informal, so we'll take questions and discussion at certain points as we go through. So today's agenda is to start out with some review. We want to, it's been, several months since we've met with and talked with the schools that are participating today. So we just want to very quickly review terminology, beliefs, and the process, and then get more specific and talk about the webinar for this month. And we'll actually walk through the presentation for your advisory council. We'll look at the submissions that are coming in this month and the rubric for those submissions. And then we'll go to our brand new online system for Renewal schools and kind of walk through the resources that are available there. So in looking at reviewing, let's start with terminology. Just a quick definition of guidance and counseling. Remember, guidance activities are activities that help enable students to master guidance standards. And as a result of mastering those standards, then students make sound choices in areas that impact high achievement. Counseling we're defining as activities that help some students address personal and social problems that are interfering with learning. So all students need and deserve guidance. Some students will benefit from counseling. Also, types of activities, advocacy and management. Advocacy activities are activities that promote systemic change to develop an environment that supports learning for all students, or for change that will promote the needs of an individual student. And then management are good activities for counselors to do. They're the behind-the-scenes activities that enable the school counseling program to run smoothly and efficiently. So here are some common management activities. These are legitimate uses of school counselors' time. Program development, personal development, professional development, networking, evaluation. And then there's also non-program activities. These are activities that are sometimes assigned to school counselors, but they do not help students master guidance standards or address personal or social problems that are interfering with learning. So while counselors sometimes perform non-program activities, these activities are not considered to be part of the school counseling program. Here are some common non-program activities that are assigned to counselors: administrative tasks, record keeping, transcripts, calculating GPAs, honor rolls, scheduling, and other things like facilitating graduation, discipline awards, substitute teaching. These are all non-program activities. They're good activities. Somebody has to do them in the school, but when school counselors are doing that, it's not part of the school counseling program. So let's look at RSC's beliefs. RSC has a foundational belief that school counseling programs help students make sound choices in areas that impact academic success. So this is what we call our school counseling pyramid, and basically this pyramid is demonstrating that our belief that when students are involved in sound guidance and counseling programs, they tend to make better choices, and when they make those better choices, achievement goes up. Then when we're designing a school counseling program, we're just going to work it backwards. We're going to start out with what are the school's academic goals, and then the next question will be what choices do students have to make in order to reach the school's academic goals, and then what is the guidance and counseling program that we can put in place to help students make those choices. Okay, let's pause here real quickly. I'm not seeing any hands up. If you have a question, stick that hand up right now and we'll address it. Okay. Then let's go on to the process. This process we introduced last spring to those of you who were able to participate in that meeting with us. But it is a fairly new process for us. We made some rather significant changes in the process last year. So I know as renewal schools you're used to the old process, so let's just talk about some of the major changes. Let's begin with the items that are in the old process column. In the old process, we had 4 different types of goals. We had achievement goals, student choice goals, guidance goals, and counseling goals. And while it kind of all made sense and we knew that our guidance and counseling goals would impact our student choice goals, would impact our achievement goals, we found that schools got really confused with all these different levels of goals. Also, when RSC started, it was before No Child Left Behind, and schools didn't have academic goals. But now all schools have a school improvement plan with academic goals that are in that plan. So we're really finding that incorporating an achievement goal in RSC isn't really necessary anymore. And so on the new side, here's how we're doing kind of the same thing, but just in a different way. Instead of writing our own academic goals, achievement goals, we're incorporating the achievement goals that are in the school improvement plan. And then our program goals are only student choice goals. So we're saying in order for kids to achieve at school, to be academically successful, to reach the school's academic goals, what are the choices that they have to make? And that's our program goals. So then we're looking at all those program goals, and there may be 75 of them because kids have to make a lot of right choices beginning in grade kindergarten through grade 12 to be successful at school. So we have all of these student choice goals, and then we'll say, okay, given how much time we have, given how much energy we have, given how much funding we have, what are the student choice goals that we can commit to really working on hard and to improving? And those will become the priority student choice goals. So the whole focus of our work is on helping kids make better choices. Then, in terms of our guidance and counseling data, we're now understanding that guidance and counseling data is really root cause analysis data. It's data that helps us understand why kids aren't making those choices. So the guidance and counseling data will help us understand, do kids lack knowledge? Do they not submit the FAFSA, which is a choice we want them to make, because they don't even know what a FAFSA is, or they don't know where to find one? Or it may be data that helps us understand that kids aren't being successful in school because they have all these personal social issues that they're bringing to school. So that may be the root cause of why they're not making the choices we want them to make. Or they may have knowledge and they may be perfectly they may not have any personal social issues. They do have knowledge, but we haven't given them the opportunities. They know, for example, that they should do a career interest inventory. In middle school, there's no personal social issues that are interfering, but they don't have the opportunity. We haven't given them the opportunity to take a career interest inventory. So our guidance and counseling data now we're going to use as root cause data. And that data then will help us understand why kids aren't making the choices that we want them to make. So again, we presented this at ASCA conference last summer, and I think we're kind of, because we've been using data so long in Indiana, we're really, I think, leading edge in how we're understanding data. And this, when we presented it at ASCA, people were like, oh yeah, that makes sense. You know, we've got all these different kinds of data, and here's how that data relates to each other. So that's the old and the new process and how it differs. So this is the new flow chart. First step is getting ready. We did that with you guys last spring. You put together your steering team and your advisory council and did all that. Then we are jumping to step 2, which is to revision. So we're going to update your vision statement. That's your activity with your advisory council for August, and we'll go through that today. Then in September, we'll look at all of your student choice data from last spring's survey, and we'll update your student choice goals. And it may be that you keep the same goals that you had before. It may be that you decide you want to change them. It just is what the stories in the data, what the data says to you. Then in October, we'll look at your resource data, how much time, energy, funding do you have, and at the same meeting as with the resource data, we'll then say, okay, given who we are, how much time and energy we have, how many of those student choice goals can we make into priority goals, and we commit that we're really going to impact those areas, those choices that kids are making. So in October, we'll come up with your priority goals. Then in November, we'll look at the data, the root cause data that will help us understand why kids aren't making the choices that you've prioritized. And then in December, we'll look at, okay, what activities do we need to put in place for the 2014-15 school year. And then the rest of the school year, all second semester, we'll start preparing for the implementation of those activities in 14-15. So that's the process. And again, let's pause, see if there's questions. Okay, Halston has a question. If we could unmute her.
Okay, yes.
Okay, Halston.
Yeah, my question, when we did the renewal process 3 years ago, actually we were supposed to renew last year, but we had a lot of changes within our department and didn't feel like we could tackle that last year, so we're 1 year behind, so it's like going on our 4th year. But when I was a part of it 4 years ago, it seemed like we did the majority of the renewal process in the spring. Is it my understanding that these meetings should be taking place now?
Correct. Correct. In this, we made that adjustment last year, that the advisory council meetings happen first semester, and then all the little odds and ends things that you do for Gold Star and ASCA, as well as the prep, writing your lesson plans, and the things that you do when you don't need your advisory council to be there, we'll do those second semester.
Okay.
Okay?
Okay.
Any other questions? Good question. Okay, so let's walk through then this month's meeting. So again, you're reconvening your advisory council and you're bringing them in. Some of you I know have been meeting with your advisory council twice a year since you originally did the Redesigning School Counseling process. Others of you, it may be 2 or 3 years since you've seen your advisory council. So in this meeting with your advisory council, here's the agenda. We'll do a welcome and introduction. We're anticipating that will take you about 5 minutes. And then a review of Redesigning School Counseling, and we put all the review slides in so that you can bring your advisory council back up to speed in terminology and the foundational beliefs and the process and all of that. So then we're thinking 15-minute break, and then moving into the vision discussion, where we'll talk about your core convictions, and then the ideal adult practices, ideal student choices, and ideal achievement data. The benefit of this is that this time doing this is that you're not starting from scratch. You'll be looking at, you have done this activity once before, so things will be more familiar to people. I know we set this up as a 2-hour meeting with your advisory council. I know that there are some schools that like to have 2 1-hour meetings. So that's up to you. If you're going to break it up into 2 meetings, I do the review part in 1 meeting and then the vision discussion in the second meeting. Okay, so the meeting facilitation, let me, oops, let's see here. For some reason, that's not wanting to get small. There we go. For the meeting facilitation, this is the PowerPoint that you'll be going through with them, and I'll just very quickly, this will look familiar because it's very similar to what you did before. Okay, so here's the presentation that you'll be doing with your advisory council. So you're introducing everybody, and then you're going over the big picture with folks. So you're reminding them that 3 years ago, your school, or you can change that slide, 4 years ago or 6 years ago or whatever, your school engaged in redesigning school counseling. And this year, you're going to review new student data and update your school counseling program as needed. So some of the things that you're telling the advisory council, some of the things that we'll be looking at this year is our vision statement. We'll update that if needed. Our goals, our priority goals, our root causes, what's making kids not make the choices that we'd like them to make, and then the activities that we're providing as part of our school counseling program. So, and then at the end of the school year, we'll submit our updated portfolio to ASCA for the ASCA Ramp Award and to the Indiana Department of Ed for the Gold Star Award. So then do some review. So these slides are very similar to the ones that we did just now. So we're reviewing the terminology, the beliefs, and then we're pointing out that we've used a data-driven process in the past. So this year, these are the steps that we're going to do. You're saying to your advisory council. First step was to get ready, and we've already completed that step. We've done our survey. We've put together reconvened the advisory council. We've done our self-studies. So here's where we are right now. Today we're visioning. And then in September, we'll look at setting our program's goals. And in October, we'll come back together and look at the priority goals. Then in November, we'll look at the root causes, what we need to change in order to reach the priority goals. December, we'll define our activities. And then in the second semester, the December meeting will be the last meeting of the advisory council for the year. And then the second semester, the counselors will do a lot of prep work based on the input that we've received from the advisory council in the first semester. So in this slide, you would have set all of your dates for all of your advisory council meetings ahead of time, and then just drop in the dates so people can get them on their calendars and work their other appointments around you. So this month's meeting, we're looking at vision. And just a little review, what is a vision? It's a detailed picture of what things would be like if all of our dreams for kids that came true. It's not based on reality. It can be pie in the sky and very lofty. The vision describes in detail the community's values, the ideal adult practices, ideal student choices, and ideal student achievement. And then just reminding them, why do we bother visioning? The process of visioning helps us to raise expectations. It creates a common direction for all of our counselors, as well as the counselors and the advisory council. It focuses on the future, so it keeps us from pointing fingers at people for things that happened in the past. We're going to forget the past and just focus on the positive future. Visioning focuses all of our energy on kids rather than adults. It increases commitment because we know where we're going and why we're going there. It also increases energy. And maybe most importantly is that the vision becomes a basis for decision making. So as we're developing our program, if things are going to move us towards the vision, they're keepers. But if they're not going to move us towards the vision, why are we doing them? We'll maybe drop things out. So a couple things we want to review with the advisory council before we actually get to visioning. And one of the things we really want to focus on is what kind of academic achievement is needed for work in a global economy. So just kind of this is also a review. We talked about this 3 years ago, but just kind of a reminder that low-wage jobs or non-skilled jobs are tending to go to other countries now. 80% of the workers in the world live in countries where the average wage is below $1 an hour. The other thing is that improvements in transportation and communication have made it possible for the low-skilled jobs in many manufacturing jobs to move to other countries. So as we're thinking about our dream for kids, dreaming for low-skilled jobs for kids probably is not, maybe a conceivable picture because those jobs are going to other countries. And then with high-skilled jobs, those jobs now are also starting to go to other countries that offer lower wages. An engineer, for example, in India makes about 1/4 of the salary that an engineer in the United States does. The other thing that's impacting this is the standardization of software, and again, lower communication costs make it possible to move high-skill jobs easily to other countries. The other thing that's having a big impact on this is that science and technology education in other countries make it desirable to hire employees from outside the United States. So as we're looking at our dreams and our ideals for kids in terms of their achievement, we need to keep in mind that that if we want our kids to be competitive in a global economy, we really need to focus on academic rigor, and especially in the areas of science and technology. Just a couple of quotes from CEOs. Everything you can send down a wire is up for grabs. If you can send it down a wire, you can send that work to India or China or Africa or anywhere. And there is no job that is America's God-given right anymore. It's truly a global economy. So how do young people prepare for success in this global economy? This is a study that was published in Education Week called What Does Ready Mean? And employers are defining ready as these academic skills, and then also these soft skills, which school counseling tends to focus on a lot, and habits of mind. Are kids able to solve problems, reason, analyze, interpret? So in terms of employers, this is what job ready means. In terms of colleges, ready on a college application to a college means that a student has filled out an application. They're finding rigorous courses on the application. They're finding a high GPA, high class rank. They're also looking at standardized test scores, recommendations, and the personal factor, how kids spend their free time. Are they involved in sports, music, community services, etc.? So the academic world is defining ready in this way, where the employers are defining ready a little differently. So just things to keep in mind as we're defining our dream for our kids. So benefits of high achievement in post-secondary education. Job security is a big one. The more the more education a person has, the less likely they are to be unemployed, and the more likely they are to have a higher income. And this, I think, is especially interesting to look at. We call this the almost $1 million difference. The average number of years that a person is employed is 41, and over 41 years, the difference between having just a high school diploma and a bachelor's degree is almost $1 million. So really does make a difference in terms of standard of living. The more education students have, the higher standard of living they'll be able to achieve. So again, as we're having dreams for kids, these are things to kind of keep in mind. What are the dreams that we have for the kids in our school and our community? So then with that in mind, let's move into a visioning brainstorm. In this visioning brainstorm, we're going to address 4 questions. The first one is, what do we believe that all students deserve? And then based on our core convictions, our beliefs that we have as a school and a community, what do we believe the ideal adult behaviors and attitudes should be? What are the ideal adult practices? What are the ideal student choices that kids should be making? And then what's our ideal school data, achievement data? So remember, this vision is not based on reality. These are our dreams. If we had a magic wand and we could wave it, what would all the adults in the community and the school be doing in order to enable kids to be successful? What would the kids be doing in our dream world, in our ideal world? And then what would be our ideal student achievement data? So the next couple of slides are just slides where somebody could scribe what's being shared. So you'd put out the prompt to the group, all students deserve what? And you also, you've given the Advisory Council a copy of your current vision statement. And as they're thinking about what they believe all kids deserve and they're looking at your current vision statement, they might say, you know, we want to omit this part of it. I know when my school first revisioned, one of our initial goals was that all students would, this was years ago, was all students would master algebra. And we took that out because we decided it wasn't lofty enough. And then we added language that would be a more rigorous math class than algebra. So we've got a column on the left for things that people say should come out, and then a column on the right that people say should come in, and somebody would scribe as people are having this discussion. An alternative to doing this on the screen is to make a flip chart poster and have a column for omit and a column for add and kind of get input that way. Then the next question, you're throwing out the prompt, in our ideal school, our ideal community, what are the adult practices? And people are looking at the vision statement, asking you to take out things and add things. Next question is, in our ideal school that's leading to high achievement, what are the choices that our kids making? And people will say things like, they're choosing to do their homework, they're choosing to ask questions, they're choosing to be assertive rather than aggressive. So all of those things will add or omit. One thing here, the last time we did this, we did not focus in this paragraph just on student choices. And since the whole RSC now is really focusing on student choices, we'd really like the focus of this paragraph in your vision statement to be on student choices. So in this section especially, there may be a lot of things that you end up wanting to take out. But in terms of the adding, please make sure that the key student choices that you want kids to make in order to be successful in school and in life, you've added into this dream that you have for kids. And then the last discussion is the ideal student achievement data. Remember that discussion can get pretty intense. Some folks will say, we want all kids to be successful, and if this is a dream, then 100% of the kids should pass I-STEP and graduate on time and all of that. And other kids may have a little bit of difficulty with visioning and, may think that this has to be realistic and may come up with 80% or 85%. So this discussion may get tense at times. I think that the easiest way to address this is to remind people that this is pie in the sky. This is who do we have dreams for, and then if you can't get them to 100%, to ask the question, okay, let's define then who do we not have dreams for? Is it the special ed kids? Is it the who is it that we don't have dreams for? And I think that those questions tend to help folks think about having dreams for all kids. And again, the importance of this discussion is that if you can't have dreams for a student, there's no way you're going to provide them with a rigorous curriculum, with extra help, with the encouragement that they need. So adults having dreams for kids is really the key starting point. That said, you can't force 100% on your advisory council. So, if somebody just really has kids that they don't have dreams for, we have to honor that as well. So okay, so you've been through that discussion once before, and I think the second time through it's a whole lot easier. Okay, so then we're just reminding people that our next step is that the steering team will use their input to create an updated vision statement. And that's it. So you're thanking people for attending that meeting. So let's see what questions we have before we move on. Looks like Halston has a question. Halston?
I guess maybe my question is for Sue, maybe to talk privately later, but I guess I'm wondering whether we're at a good place to go through the renewal process right now after hearing that it was revamped and that a lot of this needs to take place this semester because of some other changes that have happened in our school recently. Is there a good time to possibly talk to you about that?
Sure. I'm in the office Thursday. Give me a call about that. And remember, too, that we give you suggestions, but we're not in your building. So while we're suggesting that these are fall meetings, if you want to spread them out to a meeting every other month or to make them spring meetings, that's fine with you. There's tons of flexibility in this. We just kind of make a standard presentation, and then we depend on you to adjust it to meet your needs.
Okay.
Okay. But feel free to give me a call Thursday, but also feel free to make the adjustments that need to happen for your school.
Okay.
Okay. So Okay, Joanne has her hand raised for the question.
Sue, I had a question as far as, did I miss where we could have gotten a copy of these slides before the meeting at all?
The slides that I just went through, you can download from the website. I'll show you where those are. The introduction slides before we started recording, those, you know, I don't think those are really of value, but the presentation that we just went through is on the website.
Okay, all right, and that's what I was referring to.
Yeah,
thanks.
I'll show you where that is in a sec. And Halston, one more question.
Oh, no, I just forgot to uncheck.
Okay, very good. Okay, so let's go back here. Let me see if I can, there we go. Go back to the, yep, that's where I want to be. Okay, so this month's submissions, you're turning in the vision statement this month, or when you complete this discussion with your advisory council. And these rubric items are exactly the same as last time. So the first paragraph contains your core convictions, second paragraph describes ideal adults, third paragraph ideal students, fourth paragraph ideal student achievement data, and then all of your data is expressed as the percentage of students who are reaching a specific standard. Exactly the same as what we did last time. Then, since you did this last, ASCA has changed some of their rubrics, which caused us and also the Department of Ed to change their rubrics for the Gold Star Award. So here are additional rubric items that we want to make sure that you get into your vision statement. So your vision, when it's describing the ideal practices, somewhere where you'll need to work in that your program is addressing students' developmental needs, it's focused primarily on prevention, that the counselors are serving as an advocate for every student, that the program uses data to drive program design, that there's an annual evaluation of the school counseling program, which you can do through us, and that your counselors are following the ASCA ethical standards. So just make sure that you work those things into your vision statement. Then also in this section, we ask you to create a mission statement. Remember, a mission statement is a short statement, usually just one sentence, and it's describing the purpose of school counseling. The tasks, it includes the oops, what am I doing here? Yeah, the task of school counseling is the principles of school counseling, and then we just, oh, that's written there twice. We're just checking to make sure that the school counseling statement is present. So online, when we get online, you can download a sample mission statement and also some guidelines for how to create a really sound mission statement. And then advisory council minutes, just remember that we like the minutes to include the names of the people that are present, and a summary of activities and discussions that were held. And then also we find it very, very helpful that the minutes contain references to specific people who contributed ideas. So Jane Smith added that, you know, blah, blah, blah. John commented that. When people start to see their names in the minutes, they know that they were there for you to listen to them instead of it just being a sit and get. So that is really key to getting people to come back to the next meeting and the next meeting. So we ask you to put that into the minutes. Okay, any questions about the submissions? Okay, not seeing any hands. So let's go to the online system, and let's see here. There we go. So I just logged in as Guyan Creek's just to kind of show you the system. We're not going to look at any of their data. But one of the first things that we need to make sure that you do, if you haven't done it already, is on this first tab, if you'll click here, one of the things that we need to do is to make sure that you've click the button that this is a renewal process and that you're going through the renewal. That's going to customize the website for you so that the renewal parts are easier to find. And then also, if you would come down and tell us, do you currently have ramp status? If you say yes, it's going to ask you to come up with a year that you're going to submit. You guys would be submitting this in October 2014 for Ask a Ramp. And then do you currently have the Gold Star status? And actually, I think that had been a no. Do you have Gold Star status? And then it's asking when you're going to renew, and you would be renewing in June 30th, 2014. So, okay. So just make sure you do that, so that will customize everything. I'm going to go ahead and leave this the way it was and let the school make that customization. Okay, so then over here on the left, I'm going to click on the Manual tab real quickly. Let's go look at that. And the Manual tab, after you click that you're a renewal school, this page will come up first. But you can toggle between the different years. So, so I'm just went ahead and clicked their renewal. And then here is your vision update. Here's all the handouts, and then here's the tools. So you've got the Update Vision presentation. That's the presentation that we just went through this morning, so that's where you would download that. And then we also put in just elements of high-achieving schools. That kind of, sometimes that document helps schools to vision a little higher, more lofty, but you can decide whether or not you want to pass it out to your advisory council. And then just a reminder, every time that you have an advisory council meeting, there's a document of how to prepare for the meeting. There's a document of facilitator notes that helps you think through how to say things, what kind of resistance you might get. It just kind of guides you all through every section of the agenda. And then different tools you might need. Here's a vision brainstorm poster. Here's a sample vision statement. Here's the instructions and a sample mission statement. And then what to do after your meeting, the tasks to do to kind of submit things and everything after that. So also on the very bottom, there's the logistics section. If you are interested in IU credit, there's information about how to do that. If you are interested in IU credit, if you call off and let us know that, we want to make sure that you get into our database of people that are needing to do that. Okay, so that's the manual page. Now, this new process page, I think if you've renewed before, you're going to love this. It is so much easier to use. So here's the process page. I'm going to move my control panel all the way here so I can see it. So basically, it just tells you, and again, I want to make sure that renewal is clicked. And again, if you click renewal up in the uses, this will appear first when you go to this page. So we just are, working through the process. So update your leadership, collecting data, evaluate your progress. Those are things that you did over the summer. Conduct your self-studies. You did that over the summer. And then update your vision statement. So this webcast that we're making right now will appear here when people click here. And then this takes you to the manual where you can download the presentation. This is where you enter your vision statement. So I'm going to go ahead and click enter. And what you'll see is that your vision statement that you entered 3 years ago is there. So you can just go in and edit that or take it out and put a new one in. It's totally up to you. Everything that you put into an old system, we carry forward to the new system. So it's all there. And then your mission statement, same thing. You can enter that. You enter your meeting 2 minutes. When you go to enter your minutes, again, make sure that you're on the right year. And this will, if you click renewal in this RSC uses tab, the Renew Year will pop up first. But here's your meetings, and then just click the Enter Edit and stick the minutes in like you have done before. So that's kind of it. The rest of these tabs are just shortcuts to different sections. So really, you can, I mean, I don't think I ever use tabs except for these three. The process tells you what to do when and in what order, and then the manual tab gives you the resources for getting that done. Let's see what questions you have. That is the online system. And I'm not seeing any hands up. Okay. So then we can wind down a little bit. That concludes the webinar. The webinars for Renewal schools are being held the first Tuesday of the month, and at 10 o'clock in the morning. You will, when you registered for this one, that automatically registered you for all of them, so you'll be getting reminders about the webinars in your email. And if there's no other questions, then just let me leave you with this thought. Please remember that as a school counselor, you make a difference in the lives of young people. That's kind of our theme for the year. School counselors make a difference. So thanks so much, and you know where to reach us between webinars if we need to chat or if you have a question. And that concludes our webinar. Thank you.